The 1980s weren't just about arena anthems and chart-topping hair metal. Beneath the spotlight, a whole world of underground and overlooked rock albums was shaping the sound of the decade. These records were bold, strange, and often way ahead of their time. Some hinted at psychedelic throwbacks, others at post-punk experiments, and many carried ideas that future bands would later expand on. In this countdown, we're digging into 15 underrated rock albums from the 80s that still deserve your attention. They might not have dominated MTV, but they pushed boundaries in ways that blew minds then, and still do now. Number 1. Nirvana, Bleach, 1989. Before they conquered the world with Nevermind, Nirvana quietly released a debut that cost only $600 to record. Bleach was raw, heavy, and brimming with the unpolished energy of a band still figuring itself out. Tracks like About a Girl hinted at the melodic instincts that would soon make them global icons, buried under layers of sludge and distortion. Though it initially sold only a few thousand copies, Sub Pop kept it alive, and after Nevermind, fans went back to discover where it all began. Today, Bleach is seen as both a grunge blueprint and an underrated gem of the 80s underground, proof that history sometimes hides in plain sight. Number 2. Galaxy 500, Today, 1988. Dream pop may have flourished in the 90s, but Galaxy 500 laid the groundwork a decade earlier. Today was their debut, a slow-burning haze of distorted guitars, reverb-drenched atmospheres, and Dean Wareham's plaintive vocals. Tugboat became the defining track, perfectly capturing the band's balance of fragility and noise. The album didn't sell in large numbers at release, but it gradually became a cult favorite, inspiring countless indie and shoegaze bands. Looking back, Today is an understated classic, intimate, melancholy, and atmospheric, a record that feels timeless in its simplicity. Number 3. Spacemen 3. The Perfect Prescription, 1987. This wasn't just an album, it was a concept, a sonic trip from the first taste of euphoria to the slow come-down. Released in 1987, The Perfect Prescription leaned into minimal arrangements, hypnotic drones, and fuzzed-out guitars that pushed neo-psychedelia into darker territory. Ode to Street Hassle stands out as both homage and reinvention, nodding to Lou Reed while building a sound that was distinctly their own. The record never reached commercial audiences, but in underground circles it became essential listening, influencing later shoegaze and drone rock acts. Today, it's considered a high watermark in psychedelic experimentation, proof that less can be more when atmosphere takes the lead. Number 4. Cocteau Twins, Victorialand, 1986. The Cocteau Twins were already known for their ethereal Dreamscapes, but Victorialand took subtlety to another level. Recorded without a bass player or drums, the album leaned almost entirely on airy guitars and Elizabeth Fraser's otherworldly vocals. Lazy Calm, the opener, set the tone, a slow, drifting piece that felt more like a meditation than a traditional song. Because it lacked the drive of their earlier releases, it was often overlooked in favor of more dramatic records from the era. Yet over time, Victorialand has become cherished for its delicate atmosphere, an album that captures the feeling of floating in endless space. Number 5. The Jesus and Mary Chain, Psychocandy, 1985. When this album arrived in 1985, the public wasn't ready for its wall of noise. Psychocandy buried sweet, pop-inspired melodies under layers of feedback and distortion, creating a sound that was both abrasive and beautiful. Just Like Honey stood out as a melodic anchor, showing that beneath the chaos was genuine songwriting craft. Critics were divided. Some dismissed it as noise for noise's sake, while others recognized it as groundbreaking. Today, it's hailed as a blueprint for noise rock and shoegaze, a daring record that influenced a generation of bands willing to blur beauty with chaos. Number 6. Section 25. From the Hip, 1984. Hailing from the Factory Records stable, Section 25 began as a stark post-punk act, but reinvented themselves mid-decade. From the hip-fused electronic beats with moody atmospheres, pushing into territory that anticipated techno and house before they fully emerged. Looking from a Hilltop became the centerpiece, icy, mechanical, yet strangely hypnotic, a track that still feels futuristic. At the time, the album baffled some fans expecting more guitars, but its boldness has earned it a loyal following among electronic and post-punk devotees. Today, it's celebrated as a forward-thinking release that bridged two worlds, showing just how experimental the 1980s underground could be. Number 7. The Chameleons, Script of the Bridge, 1983. Few albums embody the overlooked brilliance of the 80s quite like Script of the Bridge. Released in 1983, it blended post-punk urgency with sweeping, atmospheric guitar lines that bordered on the Gothic. Second Skin is a highlight. Sprawling and emotional, it captures the band's knack for turning melancholy into something anthemic. Although critically praised, the album slipped through the cracks commercially, overshadowed by bigger names like The Cure and Echo and the Bunnymen. Over time, though, it has been embraced as a cult masterpiece, one of the most haunting and beautiful records of the decade. Number 8. XTC, English Settlement, 1982. By 1982, XTC were already known for quirky art pop singles, but English Settlement proved they were much more. The double album offered layered arrangements, acoustic textures, and a depth that showed their growth beyond catchy new wave hooks. Senses Working Overtime was the breakout single, but the record's real strength lies in its balance of experimentation and accessibility. It's an album of shifting moods, pastoral one moment, jittery and angular the next, with lyrics that carry wit and social commentary. While it reached the UK top 5, it's often overshadowed by flashier releases of the decade, despite being one of the band's most enduring achievements. Number 9. The Sound, from The Lion's Mouth, 1981. Post-punk in the early 80s was dominated by a few big names, but The Sound quietly released one of the best records of the era. From The Lion's Mouth sharpened their vision, combining driving rhythms with urgent, heartfelt lyrics. The track Winning captures the essence, soaring guitar lines, propulsive bass, and a vocal performance that balances vulnerability with defiance. It was polished enough to hint at commercial potential, yet carried a rawness that kept it firmly in underground circles. Although it never broke into the mainstream, the album has grown in stature, hailed by critics as one of post-punk's overlooked masterpieces. Number 10, The Comsat Angels, Waiting for a Miracle, 1980. Sheffield's Comsat Angels arrived at the dawn of the decade with a stark, atmospheric debut that critics praised, but the public mostly missed. Independence Day is the standout, encapsulating their minimalist approach. Sharp guitars, pulsing bass, and a restrained vocal style full of quiet intensity. The album's sound bridges post-punk and dark wave with a mood that feels both anxious and hypnotic. It never gained much traction outside underground circles, overshadowed by bigger names like Joy Division and Echo and the Bunnymen. Yet decades later, Waiting for a Miracle is recognized as a masterclass in understated post-punk, a record that rewards those who finally discover it. More than skin deep on my shoulders makes me Number 11, The Steps, Drop of the Creature, 1986. For listeners craving jangly guitars and psychedelic textures in the mid-1980s, Drop of the Creature was a revelation. The Steps leaned heavily on Birds-like harmonies and 1960s-inspired songwriting, yet gave it a fresh, modern edge. A play on wordsmith captures the album's essence: catchy hooks, bright guitar chime, and a poetic sensibility that stood out from radio trends. While mainstream rock was dominated by polished pop and hard-edged metal, the Steps tapped into something more timeless. Though it never sold big, the album remains a cult favorite, treasured by fans of neo-psychedelia for its blend of charm and craftsmanship. Number 12, The Ophelias, The Big O, 1989. This San Francisco outfit brought wit and eccentricity to the psychedelic underground at the end of the decade. The Big O was a head-spinning mix of art rock, satire, and psych flourishes, packed with unconventional arrangements and humor. The track Strange New Glasses highlights their style, whimsical yet biting, with melodies that twisted in unexpected directions. They never chased commercial appeal, instead crafting music that rewarded curious listeners willing to explore offbeat sounds. Today, the album feels like a hidden relic of the late 80s, proof that psychedelic rock could still evolve in clever and unpredictable ways. Number 13, Plasticland Salon, 1987. By the late 80s, psychedelic revival bands were rare, but Plasticland kept the flame alive. Their album Salon mixed fuzz guitars, harpsichord flourishes, and surreal lyrics, landing somewhere between garage rock and psychedelic daydream. Abscessed Words to Climb stands out for its phaser-heavy guitars, weaving a kaleidoscopic sound that felt like a time warp back to 1967. Unlike mainstream rock of its day, Plasticland leaned into strangeness, creating music that felt handcrafted for fans of underground psych. Though overlooked at release, the album now serves as a quirky, colorful reminder that psychedelia didn't vanish with the summer of love. Number 14. The Del Byzantines' Lies to Live By, 1982. Fronted by a young Jim Jarmusch before he became a renowned filmmaker, this band was anything but conventional. Their debut album fused post-punk tension with noir-like atmospherics, a mix that felt cinematic long before Jarmusch picked up a camera. Girl's Imagination is a standout. Angular rhythms, spiky guitar tones, and a strange allure that keeps you leaning in. The record came out of New York's downtown art scene, fitting neatly beside Talking Heads and Liquid Liquid in its urban experimentation. It never broke into the mainstream, but it remains an essential document of New York's underground, where rock collided with art in the most unexpected ways. Number 15. The Unclaimed, Primordial Ooze Flavored, 1983. Los Angeles garage rock revivalists, Nah. The Unclaimed opened their 1983 album with a murky cut that immediately set the tone. Lost Trails bristled with reverb-drenched riffs, handheld maracas, and a grit that felt like it came straight from a desert bar gig. At a time when slick new wave dominated the airwaves, this record clung fiercely to a raw, psychedelic garage aesthetic. The production wasn't polished, but that was the point. It captured a swirling, almost dangerous atmosphere that echoed the Nuggets-era underground. Though it never gained commercial traction, the album stands today as a hidden gem of the 80s garage revival, proof that the spirit of 1960s fuzz never really died. And there you have it, 15 underrated rock albums from the 1980s that pushed boundaries, broke rules, and left a quiet but lasting impact. Some were raw and unpolished, others dreamy and atmospheric, but all of them carried sparks of brilliance that deserve a second listen. Maybe you owned a copy back then. Maybe you're just finding them now. Either way, these records prove that the 80s weren't just about big hair and radio hits. They were also about innovation happening in the shadows. Which album surprised you the most? Let us know, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into music history.